Discover the incredible billionaire. Bullies laugh at a cripple, not knowing his hidden fortune. Ethan sat in his garage, the hum of machinery surrounding him like a comforting blanket. Here, in this sacred space filled with half-finished inventions and the scent of warm metal, ideas took flight. His hands, steady and skilled, worked feverishly as he crafted his invention for the class project competition. Outside, the sun set over the golden fields, painting everything in hues of orange and purple, a stark contrast to the icy mockery he faced at school. He could still hear the laughter, the taunts echoing down the hallways, piercing through his resolve like a knife. But Ethan was no ordinary teenager, and he had a secret that could change everything. He remembered the way the bullies would surround him in the cafeteria, their cruel smiles crinkling like paper as they hurled insults. "Why don't you just roll away? You think anyone cares about your dumb ideas?" shouted a boy named Kyle, who always led the charge. Ethan felt a familiar sting in his chest, but brushed it aside. No amount of ridicule could outweigh the fire inside him, ignited by the tireless love of his mother who worked endless hours just to give him a chance at his dreams. Then a breakthrough moment came. As Ethan pieced together the final parts of his invention, the door creaked open. It was Sarah, a classmate who had never been cruel. "I just wanted to see what you were working on," she said, her eyes wide with curiosity. For the first time, he felt a sliver of hope as he showed her his creation, a device that could revolutionize irrigation for the local farms. The gleam in her eyes told him that perhaps he wasn't as invisible as he thought. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Weeks passed, and Ethan's invention was finally unveiled at the competition. The gym buzzed with excitement, parents beaming and students whispering. But as he wheeled himself to the front, he felt the familiar eyes of his tormentors watching, their smirks chiseled into place. But this time, he stood taller, a new resolve flowing through him. When he began to explain his invention, a hush fell over the crowd. Yet the laughter roared back, crueler than ever. "What does he know about farming?" Kyle jeered loudly, making everyone chuckle. But just as quickly, Ethan noticed something change. Whispers of admiration started to escape lips, and glances of curiosity turned into eyes that widened in realization. Then, just as the pounding in his heart reached its climax, the local entrepreneur, Mr. Hamilton, stepped forward. He could see beyond Ethan's chair. He saw visions of a brighter future. "This is brilliant, Ethan," he declared, his voice cutting through the noise. But in that moment, a wave of confusion crashed into Ethan. He learned of his hidden fortune from patents he didn't even know existed. The rush of emotions was overwhelming. Was this what he needed to win their respect? As the town's divisions flickered before him, Ethan knew he had to make a choice. Would he embrace the anger simmering inside, or rise above it? Only one thing was certain. His journey wasn't finished. It was just beginning. The future loomed ahead, brimming with possibilities, but the shadow of his past remained. How would Ethan forge a path forward, not just for himself, but for the community around him? The heart of the matter lay just beyond reach, ready to explode into the next chapter of his life. Ethan stood frozen, the murmur of the crowd swirling around him. Mr. Hamilton's support poured over him like a warm blanket, igniting a spark of hope. "This is it," he thought, every pulse of his heart echoing with the weight of his revelation. The hidden patents could offer a bridge to a new world, one where he might be seen not as the boy in the wheelchair, but as the inventor he truly was. Outside, the sun was dipping beneath the horizon, casting long shadows that danced eerily across the gym floor. It was almost poetic, the light of possibility fighting against the darkness of doubt that had plagued him for so long. Kyle's jeering laughter faded into white noise as Ethan locked eyes with Sarah, who stood among the crowd, her expression a mix of encouragement and disbelief. In that moment, something shifted in him. He was a survivor, not just of bullying, but of the struggles that came with being underestimated. The realization flooded through him. His worth wasn't tied to what others thought. It was wrapped in the very dreams and ideas he held. Taking a deep breath, he pushed through his uncertainty. "I may not have a lot of experience," he began, his voice steady as he faced the audience. "But this invention could change how farmers use water, saving them time and resources while improving crop yields." Each word felt powerful, each pause filled with intent. Whispers rippled through the crowd, both skeptical and intrigued. Ethan felt like he was riding a wave, the tide of support swelling beneath him. Then he saw a hand rise, a farmer from the back, older and lean, with weathered skin and kind eyes. "Can you explain how it works? What makes it different?" Ethan's heart raced. This was his moment. He launched into a detailed explanation, describing the mechanics and benefits with a passion that surprised even himself. As he spoke, the audience leaned in, eyes wide, hanging on every word. With each sentence, the shadowy figures of his past Kyle and the other bullies began to blur into the background of his mind. Instead, faces of support emerged. Sarah S. encouraging smile, Mr. Hamilton S. nod of approval, and the farmer S. engaged look. After he finished, applause swept across the room, washing over him like a wave of acceptance. It felt surreal, a stark contrast to the cacophony of derision he was used to. But before the cheers could carry him away, Ethan suddenly remembered his hidden fortune. The patents he had inherited meant not only validation for him, but the chance to invest in projects that could help others like him. As the gymnasium started to clear out, energy buzzing around him like static, Ethan's mind raced with possibilities. He knew now wasn't just about him. His inventions could become a lifeline for many. But could he really step into this new life, embrace his identity not just as a kid with a dream, but as someone who could change things for the better? His thoughts raced, a mix of excitement and fear. The weight of responsibility settled in his chest. As he looked around the gym, he began to wonder how far his newfound resolve could take him. Would he return to school, not as a victim, but as a leader? Just then, Sarah approached him, her eyes sparkling with admiration. "Ethan, that was incredible. I can't wait to help you with this," she said, enthusiasm spilling from her voice. But as emotions swirled inside him, doubt crept back. Would they accept him, the boy who faced taunts, but now held perhaps the key to something greater? With a mix of vulnerability and determination, he considered the road ahead. The journey to acceptance had just begun, but also the weight of expectations. What awaited him in this new chapter? Ethan took a deep breath, letting the reality wash over him. He was ready to forge ahead, but first, he had to decide what kind of future he was going to embrace. Would he be the man he needed to be, or would the past as shadows keep him from shining? As he wheeled away, he felt that familiar burn of potential. His story was nowhere near over. It was merely unfolding. What awaited him next would either illuminate his path or test his spirit beyond measure. Ethan felt the weight of Sarah's words hug him tight, emboldening him as he faced the remnants of the crowd trickling out of the gym. He could still hear their applause echoing in his ears. Each clap was a reminder that he was more than just a label, he was an inventor. With a sense of clarity, he wheeled himself toward the exit, flanked by remnants of excitement and uncertainty. Outside, the dusk wrapped around him, cool and calming. The colors of the sunset mirrored what was happening inside him. Hues of deep orange and pink whispered promise, while shadows from the setting sun mirrored the parts of himself that he still struggled to embrace. Standing amid the fading light, he realized that what lay before him was a blank canvas. "Ethan," Sarah called again, briefly interrupting his thoughts. She rushed up to him, her face glowing. "Can we talk? Really talk? I have some ideas that could help you." Ethan found himself smiling, despite the nagging worry that clung to him. Sarah had always been supportive, but now it felt different, intense, almost electric. Yeah, about what? He asked, his curiosity piquing. Your invention. I think there's a way to connect it with local farmers directly. They'd love to be part of something new. Plus, I know some people who could help get noticed. Her enthusiasm was contagious, washing over Ethan with new confidence. They found a quiet corner away from the thrumming crowd. Ethan felt a bizarre mix of joy and apprehension. Here was Sarah, with her anchor of hope, but could he really trust that this was the path to a brighter tomorrow? The voices of doubt began to echo in the dark corners of his mind, were they only extending their support because of what he had done today, not who he was. Is this real? He blurted out, suddenly vulnerable. What if this is just a one-time thing? What if I fail? Sarah's expression softened, determination etched into her features. Ethan, everyone feels that way at some point. You have something unique, something valuable. It's not just about today. You've earned this chance, but you have to believe in yourself. With those words, something inside him shifted. He had spent so long doubting himself because of what others had said. Ethan cleared his throat, pushing through the anxiety that it would all crumble at any moment. What do we do first? Excitement danced in Sarah's eyes. Let us think about a presentation. We can gather feedback from farmers on what they want and need. This could be our way to shape the invention before it goes to market. The weight of possibility surged through Ethan. He could feel the darkness of insecurities lifting slightly, replaced by a vision of what could be. They talked strategy, confidence resurfacing with each plan they put on paper. Nathan approached from the side, his demeanor stony. What's this? He asked, eyebrows raising. Just making more plans for failure? Ethan's heart sank for a moment, but he frowned rather than falter. No, it's not. It's about taking what I've invented and actually doing something that matters. Good luck with that, Nathan scoffed, though Ethan caught a hint of uncertainty behind his bravado. The moment passed swiftly, like the flitting darkness that sometimes chased him. As Nathan walked away, Sarah squeezed Ethan's shoulder. Don't let him get to you. You've got this. You'll show everyone who you really are. As they continued brainstorming, Ethan's thoughts raced. This was a new trajectory, one that not only challenged him, but could also shake the doubts that had accumulated over years. His mind crossed a crucial threshold. Could he really harness this belief and shape it into something that would lead to greater opportunities for himself and for others? With dreams swirling around him like the falling dusk, Ethan knew this was just the beginning. What lay ahead was ripe with potential, but also fraught with challenges. But somehow he felt ready as they finalized their plans. A new thought intruded on Ethan's mind. What if someone else had their sights set on his invention? What if rival interests lurked in the shadows, whispering doubt into the ears of farmers and investors alike? Sarah, Ethan said, pulling her focus back to him. What if we aren't the only ones looking to make a change here? The air grew thick with unanswered questions, and a chill ran down Ethan's spine at the thought. The stakes were higher than he anticipated. He had so much to gain, but there was just as much to lose. The uncertainty of it all loomed in front of him, urging him to be vigilant. With the sun now fully set, dark clouds rolled in, mirroring the uncertainty ahead. What awaited him in this quest for acceptance and success? Ethan stood there, the chill in the air mingling with a rising tide of anxiety. In just a heartbeat, the flush of excitement had shifted to a murky uncertainty. He had worked so hard to pull away from the shadows of his past, and now it felt like they were creeping back in, whispering doubts and fears that had long clung to his spirit. Sarah noticed the change in his demeanor. Hey, it's okay. We'll figure this out together, she said, her voice steady, laced with conviction. But Ethan couldn't shake the worry that lodged itself like a stone in his gut. What if they don't believe in my invention? He asked, the vulnerability spilling from him like an open wound. What if they hear Nathan's doubts and decide it's not worth the risk? Then we prove them wrong, Sarah replied, unwavering. You've already shown everyone what you can do. You just need to show the farmers and investors the value in your vision. Ethan nodded, her confidence stirring something inside him. a flicker of hope battling the storm within. They had outlined their plan, every detail carefully crafted, and yet the fear clawed at him, relentless. "Let us focus on gathering feedback first," he suggested, feeling the need to regain some control. "If we understand what the farmers really need, we'll have a stronger case." "Exactly," Sarah beamed, and for a moment, Ethan let himself bask in her enthusiasm. "We can create a survey to send out to farmers in the area. It'll help us pinpoint their biggest challenges and what solutions they want." As they tapped their ideas into the Notepad app on Sarah's phone, Ethan's heart beat a little lighter. The outline of a plan began to take shape, its edges sharpened by the clarity of purpose. When he looked into Sarah's bright eyes, that nagging doubt seemed less overwhelming, its hold on him loosening just a bit. Days passed like a blur as they dived into the project. They crafted a simple survey, shared it online, and soon received an influx of responses. Within the words of the farmers, Ethan found validation, reassurance that his invention could indeed fill a gap. Comments poured in, detailing struggles with manual labor and the need for efficiency. Encouragement flooded his inbox, overshadowing Nathan's dismissive scoffs. The feedback was transformative. Farmers expressed interest in innovative approaches. Their support became a lifeline for Ethan, restoring his belief in the worth of his idea. But just as Ethan began to feel a sense of progress, the echo of Nathan's voice clawed at the back of his mind. He found himself questioning the intentions of those around him. Were they truly invested or just being kind because of the buzz around his presentation? With new hopes came new fears. Paranoia danced in his thoughts, wrapping around his resolve like a thick vine. Ethan decided to dig deeper. If he were going to present to the farmers, he wanted to ensure everything was perfect. He started researching competitors, looking into others who had tried to innovate in agriculture. The more he learned, the more he realized that change was coming, and if he didn't act quickly, someone else might seize the opportunity. His hand shook slightly as he sat at his desk late one night, poring over data and strategies, the glow of the screen illuminating his committed expression. Just as he felt this wave of determination wash over him, a sudden notification buzzed on his phone. It was an email from an unknown sender. Tension coiled in his chest as he hesitated to open it. What if it was good news? What if it was someone interested in his invention? But then again, what if it was a warning or a threat? Mustering every ounce of courage, he clicked on the email. The words before him widened his eyes, igniting a new fire of anxiety. "We know about your invention." With his heart racing, Ethan read and reread the message, each line dripping with implications. If he wasn't careful, everything he had been working for could be at risk. "Sarah, you need to see this," he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper as he summoned her to his side. "Yes," she leaned into. "Read." The weight of their ambition suddenly felt heavier, the stakes higher than he ever imagined. The storm of doubts raged back. Who was watching? Who was getting in the way? And just how far would they go to make sure he didn't succeed? Ethan felt a surge of dread wash over him as he studied the email again, his fingers tightening around his phone. "They know," he repeated, almost to himself. The implications of the message sank deeper, swirling into a chaotic mix of fear and confusion. "What do you mean, Ethan?" Sarah's tone shifted, concern etched across her features. "Who's they?" He let out a shaky breath. "I don't know. It's vague. Just says they're aware of my invention. It feels like a threat." "Show me." Her eyes locked onto his, unwavering, stirring the fire of determination in his chest once more. As he handed her the phone, he couldn't ignore the gnawing uncertainty. The excitement they had built over the past few days suddenly felt fragile, like glass ready to shatter. Sarah read, her brow furrowing. This could be serious. What should we do?" Ethan imagined countless scenarios, each one darker than the last. "We can't let this get to us. I worked too hard. We need to keep pushing forward, right?" She nodded, her voice steadying. "But we should also think about how to protect your idea. Have you considered talking to someone at the university? Maybe they can give you advice on how to handle this." As she spoke, a new wave of determination surged through him. Yes, he would protect his work, but he wouldn't let fear dictate his choices. I'll reach out tomorrow, he decided, making a mental note. Still, as the night dragged on, the uncertainty loomed large. With every tick of the clock, Ethan wrestled with doubt. Would his invention really disrupt the industry? Or was Nathan right? Were they simply naive in believing they could change anything? After a restless night, Ethan stumbled into the kitchen the next morning, the weight of the email lingering in his mind. Sarah was already at the table, a steaming mug of coffee in front of her. "You look worn out," she said gently, but her eyes sparkled with resolve. "I didn't sleep much," he admitted, rubbing his eyes. "I can't stop thinking about that email. Let us focus on what's next, not what could go wrong." Her voice was firm, reminding him of the core of their mission. Taking a deep breath, he nodded. "Let us send out another round of surveys with follow-up questions. We need more data to back up my claims. We can present hard evidence during the farmer meetings." "Great idea. And maybe some visuals too? A prototype sketch, some diagrams, right? I want something they can hold on to, something they can see in action." The moment the words left his mouth, his mind jumped to life again. That spark of innovation, it was still there, flickering beneath the surface, waiting to be reignited. Sarah pushed back her chair and grinned. "Okay, let us get to work." They spent hours brainstorming ideas, sketching plans, pulling together a presentation that merged statistics with powerful visuals. With every detail they forged from nothing, Ethan felt the weight on his shoulders lifting, replaced by a thrilling rush of purpose. But beneath the excitement, a familiar doubt crept back in. What if Nathan had connections? What if those who threatened him had power? As they finished up, a notification pinged again on Ethan's phone. He paled as he saw another email from the same sender, bold and ominous. "Not now," he whispered, dread pooling in his stomach. "Read it, Ethan," Sarah urged, stepping closer as one would at the edge of a precipice. He opened it, the words blurring together as anxiety surged. "It looks like you have a deadline to meet. We want to see your prototype by next week." The room felt like it was closing in. "This is serious," he said, his heart racing. "Ethan, you can't let them intimidate you. We'll do this together." But as she spoke, the unknown sender's words echoed in his mind, demanding, threatening. "Are we in over our heads?" He wondered aloud, grappling with his doubts. "Or it's just at the beginning," she countered, her intensity piercing through his veil of fear. But the seed of concern had been planted, and it wouldn't shake loose easily. Ethan's eyes darted back to his screen, replaying the scenario over and over. Who were these people? And how much did they really know? With one last determined glance at Sarah, he straightened his shoulders. "We have to act fast. If they want a prototype, then we'll give them one they'll never forget." The fire in his chest ignited once more. But uncertainty still lurked, whispering that they were running out of time, what was lurking behind the shadows, ready to pounce on their ambitious dreams. Ethan's heart raced as he absorbed the weight of the email. The deadline loomed like a storm cloud over their heads. He looked at Sarah, her expression a mix of determination and concern, and felt that spark of hope flicker back to life. They had come too far to turn back now. "Let us get started on the prototype. I have some ideas buzzing in my head," Ethan said, pulling his mind from the quicksand of doubt. Sarah smiled, sensing the shift in his tone. "That's the spirit. What do you want to build first?" Ethan leaned closer to the table, grabbing a piece of paper. "We'll need to maximize efficiency. This prototype has to demonstrate the capabilities of the invention clearly. Maybe a functioning model that simulates how it operates in the field?" "Absolutely. We can create a mini version," she proposed, her excitement infectious. As they sketched and calculated, the world outside faded away. Hours passed in a blur of focused chatter, laughter, and the occasional frustration as they attempted to distill their complex ideas into something tangible. It was invigorating. As they worked, Ethan couldn't shake the lingering fear that nagged at him. What repercussions could emerge from submitting this prototype? Would they really be safe from those threats? It was a haunting refrain, creeping into the back of his mind like an uninvited guest. "Ethan, Are you with me? Sarah's voice jolted him back to reality, and he blinked as he looked at her. Yeah, sorry, just thinking, he replied, guilt flooding through him as he realized he had drifted away. Look, I get it. The stakes are high, but we have the chance to make a real impact. She reassured him, her eyes steady. If we present this correctly, it can't just be dismissed. The farmers need something revolutionary. Right, he said, focusing on her words. They need to see the possibilities, the benefits. We're onto something that could help them. With renewed vigor, they dove back into their project, sketching components like mad scientists. Each idea was a brick laid down, building the foundation of their shared dream. But then, the loud buzz of Ethan's phone broke through their concentration. It was Nathan, the last person he wanted to hear from. His gut twisted as he clicked on the message. This time, it wasn't an empty threat. Listen, Ethan, you can't bury your head in the sand. There's a reason they're watching you. You need to tread carefully. Ethan felt a furious rush of emotion. How dare Nathan insinuate he should be afraid? What does he know? He whispered, anger mixing with fear. Are you okay? Sarah asked, noticing his change in demeanor. Ethan hesitated, then showed her the message. Her brows knitted together. He has tried to intimidate you. Don't let him. I know, Ethan said, feeling the fire rekindle in his chest. But he has right about one thing: this feels bigger than us. The weight of that truth weighed heavy, but something infused him with strength. We're not backing down. I'm going to prove it. Let us show them what we are capable of, Sarah declared, determination glowing in her eyes. Together, they returned to their designs, pouring their energy into the prototype, even as shadows of doubt lurked at the edges of their resolve. Hours turned into days as they meticulously crafted their creation. Late nights turned into early mornings, fueled by caffeine and a singular focus. Every moment they spent working on their prototype breathed life into enough conviction to combat their fears, until Friday finally arrived, the day to unveil their work. As they finalized their project, a sinking realization overwhelmed Ethan. What if it's not enough? He murmured. Then at least we'll know we gave it everything, Sarah replied softly, her voice steadying him. He stared at her, the weight of their journey spilling over into unspoken gratitude. You really believe in this, don't you? More than anything, she said. In that moment, he knew they were in this together, come what may. But just as they started to feel confident about their prototype, another email pinged on Ethan's phone. The screen lit up with a single sentence. You're running out of time. We will not wait indefinitely. Ethan's palms grew clammy, the din of anxiety rising like tides. But what happens next? That question hung in the air, heavy with the uncertainty of their next move. Little did they know, the storm was just beginning to brew. Ethan's breath hitched as the words on the screen sunk in deep. Running out of time. The phrase echoed like a death knell, ringing with urgency and pressure that sent his mind spiraling. He glanced over at Sarah, trying to gauge a reaction. Her face had paled, eyes darting back to Ethan, searching for strength or reassurance. Instead, all he could offer was the frail, uncertain hope flickering inside him. Ethan? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. What do we do? He sucked in a breath, trying to piece together a plan. We still have time. We need to finish the prototype and present it confidently. They can't ignore us if we stand strong. The resolve in his words felt more like a plea than a certainty. But what if they decide to make an example out of us? Sarah's eyes grew round with worry. We're stepping into a world we know nothing about. What if? Sarah, stop. He interrupted, trying to shake away the rising tide of dread. What if we fail? Yeah, that might happen. But what if we succeed? What if this prototype is everything we believe it is? She hesitated, the weight of his words lingering in the air. It has to be. We poured everything into it. Determination surged between them as they glanced at the almost finished prototype resting on the table. Ethan felt the familiar adrenaline rush, a potent mix of fear and courage that always showed up when the stakes were highest. They both stood and moved closer to the table, eyes scanning the various parts. Wires, tiny circuit boards, and the reinforced casing they had crafted, all painted in a bright new color. This was more than just a piece of machinery. It was a symbol of their resistance. "Let us finalize the presentation notes," Ethan said, attempting to light a fire in their spirits. His voice steadied. "We'll practice how to present it. We need to show them how this will change lives, not just for us, but for everyone." As they reviewed their notes, the door swung open abruptly. Nathan strode in, his face tight and tense. Ethan braced himself for the confrontation he was sure would follow. "What are you guys thinking?" Nathan snapped, his brow furrowed. "You don't have time for this. You need to pull back, lay low. This isn't a game." Ethan felt anger bubble up inside him. "You don't get it, Nathan. We've worked too hard to give up now. This is our chance to make a difference. If we don't take this leap, we'll never know how far we can go." Nathan took a step closer, his voice lowering as if sharing a secret. "You're playing with fire. The people watching you this isn't just about the prototype. It's about who you really are. It's dangerous. You should reconsider." Ethan felt his heart race again, adrenaline mixing with a fierce need to stand his ground. "And let them win? Let them watch us shrink away in fear? No, not again." It was Sarah's voice that broke the tension, soft but strong. "Ethan's right. We have faith in what we're doing. We won't back down. We're not afraid of you or them." For a moment, silence stretched between the three of them, heavy and laced with uncertainty. Nathan's eyes shifted, a flicker of respect swimming through the ice. "You really think you can change anything?" Actually, Ethan stepped up, feeling a new sense of defiance. "I know we can." With a final glance, Nathan turned and left the room, slamming the door behind him. The echo of his departure hung in the air, leaving both Ethan and Sarah tense but resolute. "Now what?" Sarah asked, looking at Ethan, her face flushed with determination. "We meet the deadline," he said, fists tightening as he felt fire in his belly. "And we make them see our vision before the storm hits." As they immersed themselves back into their notes, Ethan's heart hammered with an urgency unlike anything he'd ever felt before. The countdown was on, and a new surge of adrenaline rushed through him. "Do you think we can really do this?" Sarah asked, her voice tinged with nervous excitement. Ethan met her gaze, his heart racing. "We have to believe it, because the moment of truth is just around the corner," and with that, they plunged back into their work. The future uncertain, but the hope of something greater looming just ahead. What awaited them beyond that deadline? Little did they know, this was just the beginning of a journey that would reveal far more than they ever anticipated. The hours stretched on like an endless road, but Ethan and Sarah pushed through the fatigue. The clang of tools and the hum of computers filled the room as they scrambled to finalize every detail of their prototype. With each passing minute, the reality of their deadline loomed larger, an all-consuming wave threatening to crash over them. Ethan's fingers danced over the keyboard, typing out the presentation, but his mind was consumed with thoughts of what could go wrong. He shook his head, trying to expel them. "Focus," he muttered to himself. He glanced up, searching for Sarah. She was intensely focused, brow furrowed, her pencil scratching furiously on paper as she recited her part of the presentation aloud. There was a fire in her eyes, a mixture of fear and determination, and it fueled Ethan's spirit. "Hey," he called out, breaking her concentration. "You're doing great. Just remember to breathe." She looked up, a smile breaking through the tension. "You're right. I'll try. It's just, I can't help but think about Nathan. What if he's right?" Ethan took a deep breath, stepping away from his desk to stand beside her. "He isn't. We can't let fear dictate our future. This is our chance, for all of us." "Yeah, but what if we're just throwing ourselves into the fire? What if we change everything?" He interrupted, grabbing her shoulders gently. "What if this is the moment we rise?" There was a spark in her eyes, a flicker of excitement that he hoped could turn into a flame. Ethan's heart swelled. They had dreamed about this moment for so long, the thrill of creating something amazing together. The minutes bled into one another, and as the clock ticked down, they continued their preparations. The hum of electronics and their racing hearts formed a chaotic symphony in the dimly lit room. The air was thick with anticipation, tinged with the smell of solder and fresh paint. "All right," Ethan finally announced, his voice ringing with a mix of clarity and urgency. "Let us run through the presentation, start to finish. Confidence is key." Sarah nodded, and they settled into their roles. Ethan began, pacing as he described the prototype's innovative features and their potential impact. "We're not just selling a product, we're selling a dream," he said, feeling the rhythm of his words. "This is about empowerment. This is about hope." As he spoke, he could see Sarah's confidence growing, her voice becoming steadier. They practiced every line, every gesture, perfecting their timing and smoothing out any rough edges. But as they wrapped up their session, Ethan's phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Curious, he picked it up to read, his heart sinking when he saw the words, "They 1T let you present. Back off while you still can." A chill washed over him, twisting his gut. He shared a glance with Sarah, who had noticed his sudden change in demeanor. "What's wrong?" "They're on to us," he whispered, shrugging off the dread creeping in. "But I want to let that stop us." Before he could say more, the heavy door creaked open again. Ethan braced himself, expecting Nathan or perhaps someone worse. But instead, a stranger stepped into the room, a man dressed sharply, exuding an air of confidence that felt almost oppressive. "Ethan, Sarah," the man said, his voice smooth like silk. "I've been looking for you both." Confusion rippled through the air. Who was he? And what did he want? "We're busy," Ethan replied, the defiance in his voice surfacing against the growing sense of dread in his gut. "Ah, but I think you'll want to hear what I have to say." The man stepped closer, an inscrutable glint in his eye. Ethan's heart raced. With a mix of caution and curiosity, he took a step forward, ready to see what this man had to offer. What could he possibly want with them? The unfolding tension in the room hinted at secrets waiting to be revealed. And with their futures hanging in the balance, everything was about to change in ways they couldn't yet comprehend. Ethan studied the stranger, his sharp features and tailored suit imbuing him with an air of authority that felt both terrifying and irresistible. There was something unsettling about the man, something slickly sinister that put Ethan on high alert. "Who are you?" he demanded, his voice steady despite the unease bubbling inside him. The man's smile deepened, revealing a confident demeanor. "You can call me Marcus. I represent some investors who are very interested in your work. They've heard whispers of potential that could change everything." Ethan exchanged a glance with Sarah, who seemed equally skeptical. "We appreciate the interest, but we're busy," she said, her voice firm as she crossed her arms defensively. "Busy, yes, but time is not on your side," Marcus replied, tilting his head slightly. "If you continue this presentation tomorrow, it'll be your only shot. I urge you to consider an alternative path." "Alternative path?" Ethan repeated, trying to mask the rising panic in his stomach. "What do you mean?" "The prototype you're presenting tomorrow, it's impressive work. Powerful even. But you have to understand, not everyone wants to see you succeed." His voice dropped, and he leaned in slightly. "They will do everything they can see you fail. And I have the resources to protect you if you're willing to collaborate." The words hung heavy in the air. Protect them? From what? Ethan's instinct screamed at him to be wary. "What are you implying?" he asked, narrowing his eyes. "Implications matter less than opportunities, my friend. Think about it. Nathan has a reputation and no small influence. Going up against him means risking not only your work, but yourselves." Marcus spread his arms wide, as if embracing the chaos he was discussing. "Now imagine having allies. Imagine the finance backing your vision. Imagine being untouchable." Ethan clenched his fists, uncertainty pressing down on him. "And what's the catch?" he asked, unwilling to back down. Marcus laughed lightly, almost condescendingly. "There's always a catch, Ethan. But in this case, it's merely a matter of partnership and trust." His eyes gleamed, suggesting he had secrets buried deeper than what he was offering. Sarah shifted uncomfortably, glancing toward Ethan for support. "Well, think about it, but right now, we need time to prepare for our presentation." "Time is fleeting," Marcus said, the smile fading from his lips. You have until morning. But remember this, doors close quickly in this world. Choose wisely. As the stranger turned to leave, Ethan felt a mix of dread and exhilaration. With every step Marcus took, the tension in the air intensified, leaving them grappling with tumultuous thoughts. "What do you think?" Sarah asked, her voice barely a whisper when they were finally alone. "I think we're standing at the edge of something huge. But his offer, it feels wrong," Ethan replied, truthfully reflecting the knot forming in his stomach. "He could be our ticket out of this mess or our downfall. We need to decide." Sarah's voice trembled slightly as she met his gaze, both searching for certainty in a sea of confusion. Suddenly, Ethan's phone buzzed again. This time, the message was clear: "Don't trust him. You'll regret it." He lowered the phone, heart racing, afraid to look at Sarah's face. "Who is it?" she asked, tense. "Just a friend." In that moment, the weight of their choices pressed down on them like lead. The options before them felt like a tightrope walk. One misstep, and they could plummet. Ethan turned to her, resolve forming within. "We have to stick to our plan. Whatever it takes, we'll present tomorrow. We can't be bullied into submission." But deep down, uncertainty lingered. What if Marcus was right? What if Nathan's influence was more powerful than they realized? The questions haunted Ethan as sleep began to feel impossible. Staring into the darkness, he wondered how far they were willing to go to protect their dream. And more importantly, at what cost? As the sun began to rise, its glow creeping through the cracks of the window, Ethan blinked in exhaustion, worry gnawing at the corners of his mind. Would they be ready to face whatever lay ahead? Would they hold tight to their integrity, or would they buckle under the pressure that was only just beginning? In this moment, the stakes felt higher than ever. The presentation was just hours away, and the choice lay heavy in the air. What would it take to truly rise? Ethan awoke to the sunlight streaming in through the window, illuminating his workspace filled with tools and sketches. But instead of feeling excited, dread weighed heavily on his chest. The message from the unknown sender and Marcus's ominous proposal haunted him, twisting every thought. This was at the moment of truth loomed closer, and he was terrified as he rolled over to the bathroom. The reflection staring back at him felt weary, but determination flickered beneath the surface. Today would define not only his future, but also that of his invention and the dream he had nurtured for so long. He took a deep breath, gathering courage, and rolled into the kitchen where Sarah was already waiting. Her face lit up with early morning enthusiasm. "Good morning, Ethan. Are you ready for today?" she asked with hopeful eyes. But Ethan couldn't ignore the anxious knot in his gut. "Honestly, I'm scared," he admitted, pouring sugar into his coffee. "What if we fail? What if they laugh at us again?" Sarah stepped closer, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "But what if they see the value in your invention? You've worked too hard to let fear take over. We have to believe in our vision." Her support fortified him, and though the fear lingered, he felt lighter. "You're right," he breathed. "Let us do this." They finalized the prototype, and his heart raced as they packed up their gear. The gymnasium awaited them, filled with their peers, parents, and the local farmers who relied on innovation to thrive. The time had come to show everyone that Ethan wasn't just the boy in the wheelchair. He was an inventor with a purpose. As they arrived, the gym buzzed with excitement and chatter. Ethan spotted familiar faces, some filled with encouragement, but others still holding on to doubt. His eyes narrowed on Nathan, who leaned against the wall, arms crossed, the smirk plastered on his face. "Keep your head up, Ethan," Sarah whispered. "You got this." Taking a deep breath, he wheeled up to the stage, heart pounding in his chest while he felt the weight of everyone's eyes on him. Silence fell as he locked eyes with the audience, adrenaline surging through him. "Hello, everyone. My name is Ethan, and today I want to share something that could change how we approach farming." As he began to explain the mechanics of his device, something shifted mid-speech. The audience leaned in, fascinated. Yet just as Ethan felt the momentum build, the tension snapped when Nathan interrupted, sarcastically. "What are you going to do? Roll your invention onto the fields?" Laughter rippled through the room, but not for long. The long-standing fears of failure faded away as Ethan drew a deep breath, channeling the unwavering support from Sarah. "No, Nathan. It's about helping farmers, saving them time and resources so they can thrive." His words resonated, cutting through the dismissive laughter. As he showcased the functioning prototype's capabilities, energy surged through the room. People pointed and murmured excitedly. Ethan felt their intrigue wrapping around him like a warm embrace. Every detail he shared solidified his resolve further. Then, just as the presentation reached its climax, he noticed Mr. Hamilton leaning in, a glimmer of interest sparking in his eyes. "Now, that's impressive, Ethan," he called out, lifting an eyebrow. Seeking clarity on the mechanics, Ethan's throat tightened with hope, and he dove deeper into the explanation, reflecting the sheer effort put into each detail of the invention. His enthusiasm became palpable. For the first time in a long time, he felt fully present in his own life. By the time he finished, applause thundered in the gymnasium. It was a swell of acceptance. He had dreamed about an acknowledgement of his worth. Tears brimmed at the edges of his eyes as he took a moment to soak it all in. But while the cheers rang out, Ethan sensed eyes on him, the tough gaze of Nathan. Mixed with uncertainty, in a flash, he remembered Marcus's words. "Not everyone wants to see you succeed." Would Nathan push against his newfound hope? Moments later, Sarah stepped up beside him, her voice bright with excitement. "We want to hear from the farmers. What do you think?" she asked, including the audience in the dream. A farmer raised a hand, expression earnest. "How soon can we get our hands on this?" "Sooner than you think," Ethan replied, feeling the weight of his voice. Suddenly, momentum surged, flooding the discussion with interest. Ideas blossomed, and suggestions flew. This was not just a presentation. It was a community coming together, a unifying moment against doubt and fear. The applause filled the gym. Ethan's heart soared. He had faced his ghosts and emerged victoriously. But he also understood there was still a long road ahead to navigate collaboration, potential threats, and his newfound responsibilities. Hours later, Ethan and Sarah left the gym, their heads held high. The adrenaline buzz faded into a sense of purpose. "Ethan, you were amazing," she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. "Couldn't he have done it without you?" he smiled. Today proved something incredible, not just about the invention, but about who we are as a team. A silence enveloped them as they rolled down the path into an uncertain future, but filled with endless possibilities. "Let us keep pushing forward. We'll deal with Marcus and Nathan." Together, Ethan affirmed, feeling ready to tackle whatever challenges lay ahead. He wouldn't let fear dictate his path anymore. They had come this far now. It was time to embrace the journey that awaited, side by side. With determination blazing anew, Ethan looked toward the horizon, ready to seize every opportunity and transform not just his life, but those of countless others. Now was the moment to rise above, and he was ready. If you felt transformed by this story, you need to subscribe now so you don't miss out on the next incredible journey. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment to share your thoughts and feelings about this ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this inspiring transformation. Let us keep lifting each other higher together.